The World Bank Group has predicted a positive trend for African countries, noting that their public debt will drop in 2024. Low-income African countries have been stuck in a loop of debt servicing instead of channeling funds to national development. The World Bank thinks 2024 could be a positive year for public debt in Africa, according to the latest report from the World Bank report entitled Tackling Inequality is Necessary for Growth, Poverty and Reduction. You see, when I read news like this, it looks like they are just joking. Yes, because first and foremost, these countries have what it takes for them not to borrow from you. They borrow from you, you implement policies. Some of these countries, you sanction them because they refuse to do what you want. And some of these countries, it will take them years to restructure their debts, and you will refuse to meet them in the middle. You will keep forcing down monetary policy on their throats, thereby controlling their economy, controlling their currency, controlling their people. And based on what is happening in the world now, some countries in Africa are even facing natural disaster. You are telling us that they will do well, when some of them are in dire need of humanitarian needs, humanitarian aid. Countries like Zimbabwe is even said that more than half of the citizens need food aid. Countries like Zambia and Malawi are on their own, are going through a lot. Countries like South Sudan that has been in war more than 1 year now, that is even facing flooding. You are telling us that their debt will do well. How? Even Ghana now, that has been restructuring for years, has approved a new loan they want to take from you, which they still have the old ones that are still servicing. So for how long will African countries keep servicing debts instead of channeling these monies for growth and development? Then how is Africa supposed to develop? How are we supposed to experience massive growth in Africa? How are we supposed to reposition Africa or reproject Africa for Africa to flourish and be on the side of greatness, when at the end of the day you implement policies that cripples these countries, and you implement monetary policies that makes you to dictate what happens in these countries? Then at the end of the day, ECOWAS is on its own, is like an extended hand of the West. The same with African Union. How can our debts become better when we have invisible borders that you raised in Africa to control us? How can our debts go down when it is that you can enter our countries the way you like, and when we want to enter your country, we are being limited by rules and regulations? How can African debts do better when you are the one dictating how our natural resources should be sold at international market and at what rates? How can African debts do better when we have turned to a consuming continent instead of an exporting continent, with all the immense natural resources we have and the human capital we have? So it just sounds like these people are trying to mock us. Just look at some African countries now who have expelled their colonial masters. Go and check them, they are doing well. Check the African countries where their colonial masters are still there dictating. Those countries will remain in debt for life, because their colonial masters will never allow them to channel those monies for growth and development. So when you look at it, there's no Messiah coming from anywhere to save Africa. It is only Africa and Africans that will save Africa. The day we start bringing down the invisible borders these people raised in Africa to control us, the day we start uniting ourselves, that is the day Africa will be debt-free, because we will start implementing policies that will give us a total supremacy or sovereignty over how our natural resources will be sold at both local and international level. That is the day we'll have total control over our currencies. That is the day that we will now join forces together and overcome these colonial masters. that want to keep us under invisible chains. These loans African countries are borrowing is a new way of slavery for the ones that don't know it. This is a new way that they are using through these institutions they created to put invisible chains in your hand by giving you pen to sign under a paper. And then they turn around. How can we as Africans even expect that institutions created by these people can work for the betterment of Africa? It's like somebody putting in their money, building up a business. They build that business for their profit and for their own benefit and for their own betterment. That is just it. It is only Africa that will rise to save Africa. It is only Africans that will unite and rise to save Africa from the rest of the world.